In October 1944, in the quiet countryside of Belgium, an event occurred that would baffle locals and aviation historians alike for decades. A massive B-17 Flying Fortress, a four-engine American bomber, descended from the sky as if guided by an unseen hand, landing itself in a field while its crew had already abandoned it. Belgian farmers, accustomed to the distant rumble of warplanes overhead, could hardly believe their eyes. They watched in stunned silence as the bomber, its engines still idling, touched down with remarkable precision on a grassy slope, narrowly avoiding the hedgerows that crisscrossed the farmland. There were no pilots at the controls, no navigator adjusting the heading. Only the mechanical heartbeat of the machine, humming steadily as though it possessed a mind of its own. The scene was surreal. Through open hatches, personal belongings of the crew remained scattered inside the plane. Jackets, maps, and even a pair of goggles dangled from the cockpit as if the airmen had simply vanished. The B-17, fully loaded with wartime equipment, did not crash. It did not stall. It rolled gently to a stop, a silent giant amidst the crops. The local villagers approached cautiously, their curiosity tempered by fear, unsure whether this was a miracle, a trick of the mind, or a harbinger of danger. Rumors quickly spread through nearby villages of a ghost plane that had landed without a soul aboard. This was no ordinary aircraft incident. The B-17 Flying Fortress was a technological marvel of the time, designed for long-range bombing missions deep into enemy territory. It required a coordinated effort of 10 skilled crew members to operate efficiently. Pilots, co-pilots, bombardiers, navigators, gunners, and engineers all had crucial roles. Flying such a machine was no casual endeavor. To see one descend and land unassisted in hostile territory was an anomaly that challenged everything known about aerodynamics, wartime procedures, and aviation mechanics. Historians would later describe this moment as one of the most remarkable occurrences of World War II aviation. Even amid the chaos of the European theater, few could have imagined a bomber continuing its flight without human intervention. It was a story of precision, mystery, and an almost spectral presence in the skies over occupied Belgium. Witnesses later recalled the eerie quiet after the plane had come to rest, a silence that seemed to emphasize the extraordinary nature of what they had seen. Before the United States fully grasped the scale of strategic bombing in World War II, the B-17 Flying Fortress had already become a symbol of American air power and technological ingenuity. Designed by Boeing in the mid-1930s, the B-17 was a heavy bomber capable of long-range missions with remarkable durability. It could carry up to 8,000 pounds of bombs over hundreds of miles while enduring significant enemy fire. Its reputation for surviving severe damage earned it the nickname Flying Fortress, a testament to its reinforced fuselage, self-sealing fuel tanks, and multiple defensive gun positions. Flying a B-17 was no small feat. The aircraft required a 10-man crew, each with a specialized role that was critical to the success of a mission. The pilot was responsible for overall control, making split-second decisions in hostile skies. The co-pilot assisted with navigation, engine management, and control during complex maneuvers. The navigator plotted the course over occupied Europe, relying on maps, compasses, and radio signals. The bombardier managed the precise release of ordnance, often under heavy anti-aircraft fire. The radio operator maintained communications and monitored enemy transmissions. Additional crew included flight engineers and gunners who defended the plane from attacking fighters. Each role demanded skill, coordination, and constant vigilance. The B-17's complexity made it nearly impossible for a plane to fly or land without human intervention. Its massive Wright R-1820 Cyclone engines required careful throttle adjustments. The aircraft's heavy frame responded sluggishly to controls, especially during critical phases like descent and landing. Even a minor miscalculation could result in a catastrophic crash. Standard procedures emphasized crew coordination at every stage of the flight. Autopilot systems existed, but they were rudimentary, primarily maintaining altitude or course under calm conditions. They were not designed to handle combat damage or execute precise landings on uneven terrain. This context makes the Phantom Fortress incident even more astonishing. Observers had witnessed a plane that should have required 10 trained individuals navigating a descent on its own. The B-17's instruments, engines, and control surfaces performed flawlessly, despite the absence of any crew. Aviation experts later speculated that a combination of autopilot stabilization, engine momentum, and favorable weather conditions might have contributed, but no human explanation could fully account for the precision of the landing. In essence, the Flying Fortress, a mechanical marvel of the Second World War, had transformed into something almost supernatural, leaving witnesses in Belgium with a story that would endure through history. In the early morning of September 23, 1944, a formation of B-17 Flying Fortresses prepared for takeoff from Molesworth Air Base in England. The mission was clear yet perilous, a bombing run deep into German territory to disrupt critical transportation hubs and military installations. Among the planes was one piloted by First Lieutenant Joseph Cronin, a seasoned airman who had flown numerous sorties over Europe. The formation numbered over 30 bombers, their polished aluminum fuselages gleaming under the rising sun as crews ran final checks and briefings. The stakes were immense, for every mission carried the risk of anti-aircraft fire, enemy fighters, and mechanical failure. The aircraft lifted off smoothly, engines roaring in unison, climbing toward the skies over the English Channel. Standard procedure dictated that each plane maintain strict formation, allowing overlapping defensive firepower while maximizing bombing accuracy. Cronin's crew included the standard 10 positions: pilot, co-pilot, navigator, bombardier, flight engineer, radio operator, and 5 gunners positioned strategically across the fuselage. Their training had prepared them for emergencies, but nothing could entirely mitigate the hazards of war. As they crossed the Channel and entered Belgian airspace, a sudden mechanical problem struck Cronin's B-17. Eyewitnesses would later describe a visible struggle as the plane shuddered, trailing smoke, signaling that the aircraft could no longer safely continue to the target. Faced with imminent danger, Cronin and his crew made a life-or-death decision. The alternative was clear: remain with the crippled plane and risk a fiery crash over enemy territory, or abandon it by parachuting into the unknown fields below. The crew's descent was swift and tense, each member relying on training and instinct to survive while evading German patrols. As they parachuted away, the bomber, now devoid of human control, continued its flight. The engines, still producing power, seemed almost autonomous. Witnesses on the ground would later recount the surreal sight of the plane gliding over villages and farmland, appearing to navigate with its own logic. The mission, which had begun as a calculated strike against German infrastructure, had transformed into a dramatic episode of mystery and survival. The crew's decision to abandon the aircraft was entirely rational, yet it set the stage for a phenomenon that would astonish both Allied and local observers. A B-17, designed for precision bombing, heavy payloads, and full crew operation, was now a ghost in the sky, its trajectory governed not by pilots or navigators, but by an unexplained combination of mechanics and momentum. As the 10 crew members of Cronin's B-17 floated safely toward the Belgian fields below, the Flying Fortress itself continued an astonishing flight. With no hands on the controls, the bomber stabilized in midair, its 4 engines maintaining a steady rhythm, guiding it with remarkable precision over the occupied countryside. Local farmers later recalled the eerie hum of the engines and the strange sight of the massive aircraft descending as if piloted by an invisible presence. Crops swayed beneath its wings, and hedgerows were narrowly avoided as the plane approached a clearing that would become its unplanned landing site. The phenomenon was not the result of luck alone. B-17s were equipped with a rudimentary autopilot system, primarily used to maintain altitude and heading during long bombing runs. In Cronin's aircraft, it is likely that the autopilot had engaged, holding the plane level while engine momentum carried it forward. The bomber's inherent design stability, coupled with favorable wind conditions, may have contributed to the controlled descent. Historians and aviation experts later speculated that the combination of mechanical precision and natural physics allowed the aircraft to perform a landing that seemed impossible. Remarkably, when the plane came to rest in the field, it did so with minimal damage. The engines idled down, the fuselage intact, and the cockpit instruments still operational, leaving a fully functional aircraft abandoned but perfectly preserved. Meanwhile, the crew, having parachuted into enemy-occupied territory, relied on quick thinking and assistance from the Belgian resistance. Local partisans guided them to safety, helping them evade German patrols and find secure hiding spots. Their survival was a testament not only to their training and courage, but also to the bravery of civilians risking their lives to protect Allied soldiers. The story of the Phantom Fortress would spread through Europe, captivating military officials and the public alike. Reports emphasized the uncanny precision of the plane's landing and the extraordinary circumstances that allowed the crew to survive. The incident highlighted the ingenuity of wartime aviation, the resilience of technology under extreme conditions, and the courage of individuals navigating life-or-death situations. The B-17 Flying Fortress, a symbol of American air power, had in this single event become something more, a ghostly witness to the chaos of war, a machine that defied conventional understanding, and a story that would endure as one of the most mysterious and verifiable episodes in World War II history. It remains a subject of fascination for historians, aviation enthusiasts, and anyone captivated by the extraordinary capabilities of machines and men during the Second World War.